Hi, Maddie here. So this is episode 6. This is the final video in this series. In this video we're just going to be going over everything we've discussed in the previous videos and just adding anything that basically was missed off. So let's get right into it. Okay, so you've got your telescope, you've got your mount, you've got your camera. So when you start putting everything together, so you end up with something, at least the imaging train looks like, similar to this. So, it's not actually that late, to be honest. So here I've got my digital SLR camera and my 18 short throw, not short throw, just short tube refractor. So, and I have it connected using a T adapter, which is designed specifically to be used with Canon EOS cameras. So this is quite sturdy. So probably the only part of this I've not touched on in the previous videos is obviously the T adapter, just because it's just an adapter. So, but obviously you will need one to hook it up to your telescope, like so. But they're usually fairly cheap. You can usually find them if your local camera shop kind of thing, slash astrophotography shop. You know, just make sure you get one that's designed to be used with your camera, and ideally, if they do one designed for your telescope, just because you just want to try and get as close to optimal back focus as possible. So that's all I really want to say about that, really. Though this is one thing I would say is that this is an ideal setup for someone just starting out. You know, something like an 80-inch like this, not 80-inch, 80mm, sorry, not 80-inch. So it's a decent aperture, quite lightweight, though to be fair, this is actually quite heavy. But it's lightweight compared to other stuff I have. So I think it's quite a nice little setup. Like, I don't technically use this, simply because, so just for honesty, I don't actually use this at all, because this telescope was purchased as part of a guide scope package, and so I've only ever really used it for guide scope use, though I have occasionally had it out like this, but not very often. I've mainly used it like this if I just need to go somewhere at short notice kind of thing, you know, and I didn't want to lug my bigger Newtonian. But it's quite effective, and it's a decent little scope, to be honest. It's one of the made by, well, I'm guessing it's probably an OEM design, and all the main manufacturers pretty much use the same one. So I know that Celestron do one, they're 80-inch short throw, and so they're a decent little scope and quite cheap actually. So it'll be a really ideal setup for someone starting out, because I think they go from anywhere from about 80 to about 120, something like that. So, you know, really quite cheap, but but for the price cost of the cost performance ratio, pretty good. So, one of the things I do like about a setup like this is literally that it's so easy for you wanting to line up what you want to image. You're just like you would with a camera normally. You just look through the eyepiece, and you can see there exactly what you need to, what you'd see, and it's quite good. And it's obviously really handy for focusing, because that's one of the problems you get with dedicated cameras, is they don't have the eyepiece. So you generally rely on the software you're using to be able to see what's going on to get the alignment. That's why a lot of people go down the autofocus route, just simply because it's less of a pain in the arse kind of thing. so that's that. So obviously you would probably want some sort of light pollution filter like this one. This is an IDAS light pollution filter, designed specifically for use with LED lights. I believe they've discontinued it recently. Because that was the D2. I think there's a D3 now. So that's that part of it. Obviously, there's little accessories as well, other than the adapter you'd probably want. For example, you're going to need to power the camera. So obviously, it has rechargeable battery packs, so you can just swap the battery out if you need to. But it's not ideal because, let's face it, the last thing you really want to be doing when you're imaging is having to swap out the battery because that will add. It's gonna add vibration into the setup, so which then you have to wait for that to dissipate. So even the slightest touch you will see this now. So like on a setup like the 80, it's probably less noticeable than a setup like a 200mm one, like my Newtonian. But certainly it's for getting those pinpoint stars, you really want to eliminate the vibration as much as possible. And so you really don't want to be touching it. So a solution for that is, it depends on the camera. Like a lot of cameras these days are USB powered, so you just plug a USB cable into a battery pack and you're sorted. My camera being from 2012 doesn't actually do that, so I've had to get what's called a dummy adapter kit, which basically is a dummy battery that plugs in and you run a cable through to a USB. And that's how I power mine. Though to be fair, I have got away with just using the battery for a long time. Really, I've only recently got this, so mainly because I couldn't find one for my camera. So, so that's a good accessory, though probably only really necessary if you've got an older camera. But as there are a lot of older cameras that have been modified on the market that you may choose to purchase instead of buying a brand new camera, certainly something to remember. Okay, so you also need some way to actually control the camera as remotely as possible. One option would be to use one of these little adapters, so it just plugs into the camera and just allows you to snap pictures, and you can lock it in to get for if you've got it in bulb mode, so you could take as long exposures as you want. These are really cheap. They're about 10 quid, something like that. However, they're not very. You don't really get the accuracy you need because it's like, unless you really you could time it yourself, but so unless you've got amazing reflexes, it's not going to be ideal. It's like, I've used this and this is how I got started, and so it's fine for that. It's actually quite worn now. You can see that cable's worn through, so it's actually no longer functional. But I don't use it anymore anyway, so that's fine. And so alternative to that is what's known as an involumeter. It's similar looking to that, but it has a screen on it, and it basically allows you can program in how long you want your exposures to be, that kind of thing. So they're quite nice. I think they start around about the £30 mark, something like that. So just look on like Amazon or somewhere like that, you'll find them. But if you want to go to, if you prefer to go for more computerized setup, then you can use what I used before, which is called Backyard EOS. And this is a great little program. Basically allows you to connect sorry, to get your camera, and you can then basically just control it from that. And you can tell it to set. You can basically do a sequence in it, so you can set all your exposures you want to do, your darks, your flats, all of that. You set it up in that and just let it run. So that's great. There are other programs like a Sequence Generator Pro, I believe, will do that as well, though I've never used it. But I believe it, well, not in that sense. I've played around with it a little bit, but I've not actually used it properly. And so you could do that. Like what I currently use is the RCA Pro from ZWO, and this is a little box that basically a little computer. It's just a Raspberry Pi really, with some customized software on it to allow it to control all my equipment. So in one tiny little box. So if you want to go down that route, you can always go down that route. But obviously, getting started, probably keep it simple. You don't want to really be messing around with a lot of different things, because the more stuff you have, the more that can go wrong. So, in my experience, if it can go wrong, it will go wrong. So start simple, and then work your way up. Once you feel comfortable doing it all manually, then by all means move to the more automated route. Once you feel comfortable manually doing it. So that's it really. That's all I want to do on this video. So I will leave it there. I will stop rambling, and I hope you've enjoyed the videos I've done already. So I've enjoyed doing them. I've learned a lot, because as I said before, I am an amateur astrophotographer, and I'm a novice at best. So so I'm still learning it all, and I just want to share what I'm learning with you guys, so you can help you not make the mistakes I made, kind of thing, so you can get the best out of the hobby and enjoy it more. So yeah, so that's it for this video. I will see you all in 2 weeks, and I will see you all then. Until then, clear skies. Bye.